All right, in this lesson we're going to be talking about planning the actual audit. Now, 2 lessons ago we talked about preliminary engagement activities, and now we're talking about actually planning the engagement. So now that the engagement letter is signed, the audit committee has signed off on it, and we're now engaged, we need to ask, okay, so what do we need to do to plan the audit? So I'm going to take you a little bit through a roadmap of things to consider when planning the audit. So the first thing is what is the strategy or plan for this audit? So when we're planning this audit, what's our strategy? What's our strategy going to be? Because every audit's going to be a little bit different, and the question is based on the risk assessments that we have on this client, what plan do we have in place so that we make sure that we do our job, which is finding material misstatements and making sure that the financial statements are prepared in accordance with US GAAP, okay? The other question we might ask ourselves is, what are all the issues and risks that may come up in this audit? So we're basically sitting back and going, okay, what risks are going to happen? What risks do we have in this audit? Because we don't want to be caught giving the wrong opinion. So let's see, what are some of the risks in the business? Let's see what's the risk in our engagement. Let's see what risks the outside might have on our audit. What are the risks of our personnel? Let's put lay down on the table all the risks, and then at the end of the day, let's figure out a plan to attack all those risks, okay? So what are all the issues and risks that may come up with the audit? And then what is our strategy or plan to tackle all of these risks and issues, okay? And so this is where experience is very important in the audit. You get a partner and a senior manager and a manager together, and maybe even a senior, and you sit down and you go, okay, what are the risks, what are the issues? And if this is a client type that you've dealt before, then you can start spitting out those risks and issues. In the preliminary engagement activities, when you reviewed the financial statements, that might have also dinged off some risks that you need to think about in planning the audit. From an analytical procedure perspective, maybe you did some calculations on profit ratios and all of that, and you figured out that they weren't in line to the industry. Those are some of your risk potentials that you need to look at in the audit. So what risks are there, and then what plan of action do we have? That plan of action or strategy is called the audit plan. Very simple to understand there, audit plan. Detailed plan of what the audit team is going to do in order to meet the standards of GAS or PCAOB. We're also linking the business risks to the audit plan. So what's our plan? And let's link the plan to the risks. So if the risk is embezzlement by executives, so what's our plan to find embezzlement by executives? What things can we look for? Okay, maybe the risk that they don't actually own or the risk that they don't have the assets that they're telling us that they have. So what's our plan for that? Maybe our plan is that we need to look at other locations and actually visit them to see them physically to make sure that they're there, okay? So what's our business risk? What's our plan to the risk? Now, again, an audit plan is not static. It's a living, breathing plan and can be updated or changed as new information emerges. So although we are doing this planning the audit at the beginning, we may have to come back to it later on because we really want to change it because of new information that's coming in. If we're static, then we're doing the audit wrong. We need to be dynamic a little bit, and we need to see what else issues are coming up, and then how do we tackle them with a new audit plan. From the audit plan, then we create an audit program. Now, an audit program is a specific detailed set of steps and procedures to be performed. So now we say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to review all of the assets the company has, since this is our first year doing it, or maybe we do a rotation basis, so now we have to rotate it. Okay, so then what's the actual plan? What's the actual program that we're going to follow? Now, program is like steps or a checklist. So we're actually going to put together a checklist of steps, which we call the audit program, that tells our staff what they're going to do. So for instance, let's say inventory, they have a lot of inventory. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to go out and do an inventory observation. So that's a program. An audit program is inventory observation. And then From there, then we say, okay, what do we want to do? Well, we want to go to, let's say I have 10 locations. Maybe we're going to go to 3 locations. So we need to go to 3 locations and review inventory physically. We need to touch them. We need to see the count going on. And so that's part of the audit program, the detailed steps of what we're going to do. Another one would be sending confirmation letters. Okay, they have a lot of cash. So what is our audit plan? Or sorry, audit program? Our audit program is we're going to go and send audit bank confirmations to all of their banks in order to get a positive ID of how much cash they really had on 12/31. That's a detailed step. That's the audit program. So this, I think of this as kind of the theory. What is our theory plan of attack to hit those risks? And then from there we create an actual game plan, a step-by-step way that we're going to attack these issues, okay? Now, there could be multiple steps to each audit plan. So if we have, and I'm making this very simple, but if there was 50 audit plans that address 50 different risks, each audit plan, so of the 51, could have 10 audit programs or 10 steps within it, okay, that have to be done. And I don't mean steps like step 1, do this, step 2, do this. I mean 10 different things that we need to do, and each one of the things might have 3 or 4 steps within it, okay? So I know it's getting complex, but just think of this. What are the risks? How do we address them? We address them using a plan. Once we have a plan of attack, then we put together a program. That program tells us the detailed step-to-step way we're going to achieve the things that we put in our plan, okay? So that's what we do here in the planning of the audit. Now, other tasks that we're doing now, some of these are the same thing that we talked about with planning the engagement, okay, or preliminary engagement activities, but we want to, again, reconfirm some of these things in your head and put them in long-term memory of what we're supposed to do. So, assess the need to bring in specialists. So now that we have a little bit more information, now that we're doing a little bit more planning, do we need any more specialists? Are we okay with our specialists? We're going to assess business risk. What are their risks? When we mean business risk here, what we're saying is, let's say we're seeing a drop in people, we're seeing an increase in weather. So we're seeing a decrease in weather. So increase of, let's say 70 and sunny outside, which means people are going outdoors, okay? And we are auditing, let's say, a utility company. Well, what issues does that bring? What business risk? Well, if everybody's outdoors, then there's less likely they need their air conditioner or less likely they need their water, which means that the utility revenue is going to go down. So that's a business risk. The risk that the weather is going to be good and people are not going to stay home, okay? Now, again, we can use the weather again. The weather, the business risk for a store. If it's not good outside, people are not going to the store. So if it's a bad weather time for that area, that means that revenues are down. Okay, what are the business risks? Then what's the risk of that if revenues are down? Okay, if the revenues are down, the profits are down. If the profits are down, it doesn't mean that they can continue to operate. So we see what those business risks are for that business. And then now that we know, okay, weather's an issue, revenue's an issue, so we need to really look at the expenses and really look at the revenue just in case they inflated revenue or decreased expenses to make their bottom line look good, okay? Multi-site locations, we need to understand what multi-site locations they have, and do we need to visit any of them, or do we need our colleagues that live closer to visit them? We need to establish materiality. We never tell clients materiality. We're going to establish materiality for internal purposes only, and then it works its way up the chain. Senior, then manager, senior manager, and sign off by the partner. Then we're going to look at related parties. Are there any related parties that we have to be careful about? And then violations of laws or regulations or illegal acts is that they may have been assessed with. Now we need to deal with those to see what risks those have on our engagement. So again, other tasks that we're going to do in the planning stages, these are the things that were really important that needs to get done, is what are the risks, how are we going to address those risks, and what's our plan for that. Now I know it's counterintuitive to go plan and program, but program is the detailed steps, plan is an overall understanding of how we're going to address all the risks. Okay, so in this lesson, we taught you a little bit about the planning activities that go into starting and engaging in an audit engagement. Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you like what you saw, make sure you press the thumbs up button that's right below here. If you have any questions, make sure that you leave a comment or that question in the comment box below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you press the subscribe button. It's just below me. Hey, if you want more videos like this, make sure you go to www.patrickleemsa.com to see more videos like this, or if you just want to learn more about accounting. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.